What are Magic Kingdom's underground tunnels really like, and what Disney souvenir is so not worth the money, but people still buy it all the time? Our team of former cast members are exposing the juiciest Disney World secrets of all time today here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. So fun fact about the DFB team, several of our writers and reporters and editors and social media experts actually worked as cast members in Disney World before they started working with us. So today's video is a full collection of all those cast member secrets, hot planning tips, and behind the scenes lore that comes straight from our team's personal experience. I'm putting this tip first because I think it's probably the most important for you to hear, and that is that cast compliments don't go unnoticed. If you have this amazing interaction with a cast member, whether they provide you with a magical moment, or they help you out of a sticky Disney vacation situation, or they even just brighten your day with a fun and genuine interaction, you can go on your My Disney Experience app and drop them a cast compliment. It's super easy and only takes a few seconds. And if you're wondering about how much Disney pays attention to these cast compliments that are submitted, Disney takes them very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that multiple cast compliments could lead to receiving printed certificates, having them listed on their permanent record, which Disney will look at if and when you apply for different roles in the company, and a cast member could also be nominated for the Blue Legacy recognition too. Blue Legacy recipients are selected by Disney leaders, direct reports, and/or fellow cast members, highlighting a cast member who consistently does a phenomenal job spreading Disney's mission to dream, create, and inspire each day by supporting the business objectives and goals of Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. Now, you can tell if a cast member has received this honorary title by their name tag. Instead of the classic white name tag, Blue Legacy name tags will be blue, but you probably could have guessed that. Our team has often described this exclusive shop as the Costco of Disney World. Cast Connections is a store only available to Disney cast members, and here they sell legit Disney merchandise and other fun and useful things at a highly discounted price. There's also frozen Disney World food you can buy here too, like chicken nuggets and french fries. You gotta keep those DCP students fed, right? And while cast members are basically the only folks allowed inside this shop, they are able to bring a limited number of guests with them each visit. So if you're friends or family members with a cast member, then the only way you'll be able to see this store with your own eyeballs, aside from getting a job in the parks yourself, will be to tag along with a cast member compadre who's paying Cast Connections a visit that day. You're going to hear a lot about this today, but not only do we have quite a few DFB team members who were former cast members, but we also have lots of DFB team members who were part of the Disney College program. And while we were making this video, they gave us a lot of tips on how to apply, what the interview process looks like, the pros and cons of doing the DCP program, all that juicy behind the scenes stuff. Unfortunately, we couldn't fit it all in today's video for you, but we did make a free Disney College program PDF for all of those who are interested in applying or who are just curious and learning more about it, because it really is interesting to dissect. Just scan the QR code you see on the screen right now or head to disneyfoodblog.com/college after this and we'll send that free DCP guide your way. If Magic Kingdom is magical above ground, is it below ground just as immersive and colorful and fun? No, not exactly. Magic Kingdom has an underground tunnel system called the Utilidors that are strictly for cast member use only. Unless you book a Keys to the Kingdom tour, which gives you 5 hours of back-to-back behind-the-scenes access to some of Magic Kingdom's most restricted locations, you're never going to see these tunnels without becoming a cast member yourself. These tunnels help cast members get to their designated lands without spoiling the magic, which is the main reason why Walt himself wanted the Utilidors to be a thing in the first place. You see, back when Disneyland first opened up, Walt was majorly put off when he saw a Frontierland cast member wandering through the streets of Tomorrowland to get to their station, which he felt ruined the seamlessness between each of the lands that he'd worked so hard to create. So when Magic Kingdom was under construction, Walt knew he wanted to avoid breaking that immersion with his Florida park, which is why the Utilidors came to be, and why you're never going to see a Haunted Mansion cast member wandering around Fantasyland, and vice versa. But from what our DFB team former cast members have told us, if you never, ever, ever end up seeing the Utilidors, you're not exactly missing out on much here. The Utilidors look just like any other sort of industrial space. Think Disney Springs parking garage. They both got a similar vibe. Not only are the Utilidors gray and, for lack of a better word, pretty boring to look at, these tunnels are also in desperate need of a smellitzer spray because they can stink. Magic Kingdom has an incredibly intricate trash system where the park uses automated vacuum collection or an AVAC system to dispose of garbage. Cast member custodians collect and remove trash from the park 24 hours a day, and then the waste is dumped and processed through these underground tubes that run through the utilidors to a central location. Now, you know what other sorts of pipes are found underground? Sewer pipes, and Magic Kingdom is no different. So in addition to dealing with a trash smell, you also have to put up with the occasional whiff of poo down there as well. No, not Winnie the Pooh. I'm sure cast members would much prefer the smell of him and his honey pot over what's being flushed down the porcelain throne. Really wishing for that Pirates of the Caribbean water smell, right? So in summary, the utilidors might have an air of mystery to them that makes them smell all the more appealing, but some mysteries are better left alone. But exciting things can happen inside the utilidors too, if you're willing to look past the cement walls and exposed pipe ceiling and occasional stinky smells. For instance, there are a couple of restaurants hiding out down here for the cast members, including a Subway sub shop. So exciting, right? As well as a Mouseketeria, where cast members can order quick service quality burgers and chicken tenders and more at a fairly reasonable price point from what we've been told. You ever wonder where Disney keeps some of the backstock merchandise in Magic Kingdom? Yep, the utilidor is the keeper of all that stuff. One of our DFB site writers told us about how Disney has these things that the cast members have deemed as glow cages, which is like a mini jail cell filled with a plethora of glow wands and necklaces and sippers and bubble wands, all that stuff that comes out after dark for sale. But maybe that's still not super exciting for you personally. Probably the most exciting thing that happens down in Magic Kingdom's underground tunnel system is what the cast members create themselves. One of our DFB reporters shared with us that on the first nights of Magic Kingdom's Halloween and Christmas after-hours parties, the cast members like to celebrate the kickoff of the season with their own little party in the utilidors. During these parties, cast members can take photos with select Disney characters, a very rare occurrence down there, but it does sometimes happen. Plus, they'll get a goodie bag, which will likely either have full-size candy bars during Halloween time or a special ornament around Christmas. We asked one of our former Magic Kingdom cast members to come up with a rare, never talked about Magic Kingdom park tip that they believe our DFB families should know about, and this is what they came up with. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique over in Fantasyland is well known for its over-the-top royal Disney makeover sessions for kids. As fun and memorable as this dress-up add-on can be, it can also really pack a punch on your wallet since most packages range between $99 and $450. However, there is one option that nobody talks about that won't break the bank, and it's the night package. It comes complete with a sword, a shield, hair gel, and even confetti, and it's only $19.99. It's not nearly as ornate as some of the other packages offered, but it still gives kids the opportunity to experience Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique without it setting parents back hundreds of bucks in the process. Also, it's just a really good deal, considering the toys comparable to the sword and shield from this package are generally more expensive when you buy them separately at one of the gift shops. If nothing else, the night package provides a relatively inexpensive treat for a sibling who's uninterested or unwilling to sit through one of the larger packages that their sister or brother is getting. Cast members aren't just plucked off the streets and thrown into the parks willy-nilly upon being hired. Whether you're part of the Disney College program, working full or part-time, or are a cultural representative, Disney has their cast members go through a ton of brand training before being unleashed into the wild. This means knowing everything they can know about not only their designated lands and characters within them, but also knowing what to do during a ton of hypothetical situations that could very well pop up during the day. Cast members also go through extensive customer service training so that they know how to keep the pixie dust flowing and the Disney magic alive, no matter what type of guest they encounter inside the parks, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Never underestimate the power of handing a sticker to a young kid. Cast members have a nearly unlimited supply of stickers backstage to pass out to kids and maybe even the occasional adult as they see fit. It's one of the easiest ways for cast members to create a little magical moment. Sometimes cast members will hand these stickers to kids when they see kids on their best behavior, or sometimes they'll hand them to kids who are upset and need some help calming down. Either way, not a bad idea to follow these cast members' lead with your own kiddo and maybe have some Disney stickers tucked away in your own park bag when you need them most. Going to Disney World for the first time ever? Awesome! Make sure you grab one of those free first-time buttons at your hotel's front desk or over at a guest service location in any of the parks. Cast members love to take a little extra time to recognize first-time guests, whether that means a little extra pixie dust at a restaurant, like a potential free dessert, or a high five or the like. A little extra pixie dust can also happen when you're wearing a free button that signals it's your birthday or honeymoon or whatever other reason your group might be celebrating beyond just simply being in Disney World and having a fun vacation. Now, here's here's the small print. One of these free buttons doesn't automatically mean you're going to get some special treatment all trip long. So don't expect a first-time button to always help you pass the bulk of a ride line or snag multiple freebies across multiple locations or get anything beyond just a super friendly, welcome, we're glad you're here. The best thing you can do as a guest who's wearing one of these special buttons is assume that the button is great enough on its own. Then a little extra celebratory pixie dust might get thrown your way. It'll just be the icing, sprinkles, gravy, and cherries on top. I'm not here to be a magic spoiler, so I won't get into too much detail with this one. But when you're in line to meet a character at a place like Princess Fairy Tale Hall in Magic Kingdom, and you notice that the family who used to be in front of you in line isn't leaving when you're heading inside to meet a character, that's because there's more than one room. And I'll leave it at that. You can fill in the rest of the blanks yourself. Disney uses more than one room during meet and greets to help the line move a little faster, especially on busy days or for very popular characters. Now, this is really only the case for indoor character meet and greet locations, since outdoor ones usually don't have rooms to begin with. But now you know, that family in front of you did not just disappear into thin air. There are some things a cast member needs to report to other cast members that they don't necessarily want to alert other guests about, which is why cast members have their own code for different situations when they arise. I'm not going to spill every code that cast members use because let's be real here, I don't know them all. But here are a few of the more shocking codes that maybe you'll hear a cast member say, but hopefully you won't. Code A is the one that really makes my skin crawl because the A stands for ashes, as in human remains being sprinkled somewhere on the grounds. More than likely it's in Haunted Mansion. For the record, this is illegal. Do not do this. Doing this is a total biohazard and will result in the ashes being vacuumed up by a custodial cast member, which is not a great final resting place. Code A doesn't happen often, but code V is actually a whole lot more frequent. This one signifies a protein spill. We tend to hear this code shouted out more often around what we here at DFB have deemed as Barf Alley, aka the World Discovery Area in Epcot, where Cosmic Rewind and Mission Space reside. Back-to-back spinning, not kind to everyone. If a code V happens on a ride, the attraction will more than likely close temporarily to be cleaned, but it shouldn't take too terribly long for the ride to get back up and running again. Now here's a real sneaky one. If a cast member refers to someone as a treasured guest, that usually means the guest is causing some sort of trouble that could head toward escalation and require security interference. Fortunately, security is always nearby, so these types of situations can be de-escalated just as quickly as they arise. During your Disney day, you might notice that some cast members have gold pins that they're sporting on their name tags. These pins are service pins and indicate how long a cast member's worked for the Walt Disney Company. After 1 year, a cast member can earn their 1-year pin, followed by their 5-year pin, and so on every 5 years. Once a cast member reaches 10 years with the company, they're invited to a very special party that only happens once a year. Cast members with milestone anniversary years, starting at 10 years, then 15, 20, 25, and so on, get to attend a special service celebration inside Magic Kingdom. Disney pulls out all the stops to celebrate these cast members during this event, giving CMs their own red carpet down Main Street USA, preparing tons of food, and Disney will even shut down the Magic Kingdom early so that these cast members can have free reign of the park for the remainder of the evening. On the day that this event happens, Magic Kingdom might close as early as 4:30 p.m. for regular day guests. The party already happened this year, but when 2026 rolls around, you'll want to keep an eye out for when Magic Kingdom will be closing earlier than usual in honor of this event. Park hours will always be listed in advance on Disney's hours and events calendar via the Disney World website. And for those who have cast member service anniversaries of 40, 45, and 50 years, these folks get treated to a special 3-course sit-down meal on the house. Disney has become a lot more lenient when it comes to their cast member tattoo policy over the years, but that doesn't mean all tattoo rules have been completely thrown out the window for the Disney look, quote unquote. First, cast members cannot have tattoos on their face, head, or neck. They're allowed to have them in other visible places now, just as long as the tattoo is no larger than the cast member's hand and is family friendly. So no truck flap girls on your arms, all right? All right. Cast members are just as stressed to see you arrive late for an advanced dining reservation or a lightning lane as you are. So do your very best to arrive on time for all those reservations. I know, life happens and you may not always be right on time for a reservation. Trust me, I know this all too well because for some reason my brain cannot get around the concept of time and I am late for everything. But when you're late for one of these reservations, cast members can be put in a bind because as much as they try to accommodate you, it isn't always possible, meaning they might have to be the bearer of bad news, and that never feels great on either end. Luckily, lightning lanes and ADRs have a little bit of wiggle room that cast members and guests can work with. If you miss your return time window for a lightning lane, you still have an extra 2-hour buffer to get to said ride before your time is up completely. And for advanced dining reservations, you'll have about 15 to 20 minutes past your reservation time to show up and claim your table before cast members will have to give it up to someone else and charge you that no-show fee, which is another major bummer for all parties involved. Again, don't fully rely on these buffers just because the rules for them can change at any time and Disney doesn't officially state them, which means they're totally up for grabs and Disney can say, absolutely not, this doesn't exist. And if you do miss your reservation completely and a cast member can't do anything to fix it, remember that they're just doing their job and telling you what they've been told to tell you. You can always head over to guest relations and calmly and coolly explain the lateness situation if your tardiness was the result of something that couldn't have been helped, just to see if your group and the cast members can come to some sort of an arrangement that'll help smooth things over. When you visit the Haunted Mansion over in Magic Kingdom, check out each maid's headpiece. The maids of the Haunted Mansion sport little felt bats on top of their heads, very demure. And according to one of our former Haunted Mansion cast members, it's a rite of passage to name your bat once you've gotten your costume and worked your first shift. Our DFB writer decided to name her bat Beverly, and when people asked her about her bat's name, she always responded by telling him her bat was named after the vile, bitter, and disgusting Italian Coca-Cola product. If you know, you know. So if you want to add a little extra fun to your next Haunted Mansion visit, ask the cast member maids what they've named their bats, because you never know what kind of ghoulish lore you're gonna learn. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, or where you come from. Cast members can make magic for everybody. And when I say magic, I'm talking anything from getting a special sticker, like I mentioned earlier, to a free dessert, or even a ride through without waiting in line. There's no age limit for a cast member's magic making, so don't be embarrassed if you're visiting the parks as a grown adult and you become the recipient of a magical moment yourself. I personally remember my favorite magical moment when I had booked a standard room at Animal Kingdom Lodge and I got upgraded to a Savannah View room. That was unbelievable. There's no way I would have been able to afford a Savannah View room. And it was just the most incredible thing. It was like 2 years after Animal Kingdom Lodge opened. It was my first visit to the hotel. Wild. Anyway, just keep in mind that magical moments always happen on a whim. They cannot be demanded, but I think that makes them more magical. The Ride Out Crew sounds like a superhero group name, and it kind of is. It's a bunch of superheroes. There's a select group of cast members who specifically volunteered to help out in emergency situations, like when a hurricane is approaching. These cast members make sure that guests and other cast members evacuate the parks quickly and safely, and they also stay on the resort grounds for the entirety of the storm to ensure that guests are staying safe and fed and entertained. They're not called the Ride Out Crew for nothing. Disney does make sure that the Ride Out Crew is taken care of while they're on duty by providing them with meals and shelter on site, but this group works some really strenuous hours during this stretch of time, and we are all super appreciative of it. They also deal with what I'm sure is a lot of anxiety and stress and probably bad attitudes from people who aren't sure what's going on. So if a Ride Out crew member is giving you instructions when it comes to park evacuations or where to pick up meal kits or anything else that's going to make sure your family is safe and taken care of, and others are safe and taken care of, then please listen to them. I know a hurricane can be a very stressful time. It is stressful for everybody. But keep in mind that trying to argue with these cast members or give them a hard time about how things are being handled around the resort isn't going to help anything. Keep your head on your shoulders, discuss concerns with your cast members, but also remember that these cast members are more than likely exhausted and away from their families and doing their best to keep everyone happy and safe. Traveling to and from Magic Kingdom as a guest can be grueling enough as it is. If you're not staying at a Disney hotel and taking that free complimentary transportation in the morning or at the end of the day, then you're going to have to park your car at the Transportation and Ticket Center first. From there, you'll take a bus, a ferry, or a monorail to actually make it the rest of the way to the Magic Kingdom. So the whole trip can get to be 30 plus minutes long, depending on the crowds you're dealing with at the time. But guess what? The same applies to Magic Kingdom's cast members as well. The journey to and from the park isn't just a hop, skip, and a jump away. These cast members also have to park far, far out in the boonies and then hop onto a cast member bus to make it the rest of the way to their shift. And then after they do that, cast members will have to navigate through those lovely utilidors we talked about earlier. Another truth about this underground tunnel system, it is winding and long. Though these underground tunnels were designed to help cast members get around the park without dealing with the onslaught of guests, there aren't necessarily any shortcuts down there. So once they do finally make it to the general area they need to be in, they might have to walk up an additional 3 to 4 flights of stairs on top of that. So in case you're wondering, yeah, cast members definitely get their steps in each and every day. If you can't tell, traveling around the parks was a big talking point for our crew of former cast members because Disney is a big, big place. And until someone out there invents a teleportation machine, by the way, please do that. I am very much looking forward to it. The transportation struggle is going to continue being the bane of the cast members' existence, and that goes for Disney's performers too. For example, some of the break rooms for Disney's performers are super far away from the stages. These are called satellite break rooms, which are very common, especially in Magic Kingdom. One of our team members who used to perform in a Magic Kingdom parade shared with us that their dressing room was on the 3rd floor of, get this, the Liberty Tree Tavern restaurant. I didn't even know there was a 3rd floor. And yet they still had to walk 10 minutes through the utilidors to get to the front of Main Street USA where the parade stepped off. Meanwhile, over at Animal Kingdom, some backstage areas actually have first come, first served bikes that cast members can borrow to help them get from one location to the next. At least that's what I was told on a backstage tour. That makes sense because after all, Animal Kingdom is the biggest Disney World park of them all, measuring in at a whopping 580 acres. Let's talk costumes. You might start off at one general location during your time as a cast member, but as you train and spend more time in the parks, there's a good chance you'll end up stationed at several different rides and attractions after going through a bit of extra cross-training. And that's why Disney's costuming locations are such a big deal. Disney costuming is located in several parks throughout the resort's property. These warehouses are huge and house almost anything you could need from shoes to accessories. Some of our DFB team members who were part of the Disney College program confessed to us that not every Disney outfit they sported felt cute and comfy. There's always the chance that you might be stuck in a thick, stiff polyester pair of pants or an ill-fitting top with elastic around your arms. But the real important thing our team wanted to warn all future cast members about is Disney's interesting sizing dilemma for their costume pieces. Let's say you typically fit in small to medium-sized clothing. Forget that. Let's say you normally wear between a women's size 4 and 6. Irrelevant. Disney clothing is not like your normal clothing, so you always need to bring multiple sizes of the same garment into the changing room with you. The good news is that once you know your size, it's a lot easier to swap costume pieces from there on out. And if your costume comes with tan khaki shorts, pay attention to the hems. Some bottoms are much shorter than the standard Bermuda length shorts. You might feel a whole lot less inclined to sing and dance in the rain if you're constantly in the thick of the storm. And despite this being the daily grind for many Disney World cast members, they still manage to give us a little sunshine regardless. Metaphorically speaking, of course, this is Florida after all, and Disney is not in charge of the weather. During the summer season, it rains nearly every day in Florida, but even if you're visiting other times of the year, the rain might still pay a visit to you fairly often. For some rides and attractions, cast members will have to walk across the park to get to their location, and doing that in the rain can really put a damper on your shift from the start. Pun very intended there. And then, if part of your shift or all of it has a cast member stationed outside, they'll likely have to huddle in their ponchos and strategically placed umbrellas to keep dry, which can still be challenging when the rain decides to not play fair and start spraying sideways. If the weather gets too bad, of course, Disney will have their cast members duck for cover in less precarious locations. Now, cast members have to ensure that guests aren't huddling under shelter that could potentially block a ride queue, an entrance, a pathway, etc. So there are times that a cast member might be standing under a nearby Disney stationed umbrella reserved solely for cast members to help keep them from getting absolutely drenched as much as possible, but other guests will try to huddle under the umbrella and join them, and that's when a cast member has to tell those guests to find shelter elsewhere, which is never a fun conversation for them to have. So please don't make them have to have that conversation with you. But much like the cast members, you're going to want to brace yourself for potential downpours too by packing things like ponchos, umbrellas, and a change of dry clothes in your park bag just in case. This is one of my favorites. There are no lost kids, only lost grown-ups. The code Signal 70 deserves its own point because cast members go through a lot of training to handle this one. Signal 70 refers to a lost parent. Remember, at Disney, there's no such thing as lost kids. It's the parents who've been misplaced, and cast members do their best to reunite families as quickly as possible. The reason for that, by the way, is because it makes kids feel less scared if they think that they're not lost. They're right there. We just have to find your parents. And even if you go to Disneyland, you will see a sign that says lost parents instead of lost kids or lost children. So when a cast member finds a kiddo whose parents have gone missing, they'll escort them back to the park's baby care center. Or if it's an older kid who needs to be reunited with their folks, cast members may escort them over to City Hall instead of the baby care center. And City Hall is at the front of the park. Cast members are trained to keep kids calm and are experts at getting details that will help find missing parents once and for all. While you never, ever want to consider that a situation like this is ever going to be a possibility during your trip, and hopefully it's never going to be the case, it's still so important to be prepared regardless by investing in things like temporary tattoos with your phone number on them that you can put on your kid's arm. These cost like $5 at Amazon, or brightly colored shirts that make your group easy to spot in the crowd. Maybe even an air tag that your kid can wear as a necklace. So if you lose them, you can find them quickly. I think one of my favorite things to hear about when I learned that one of our DFB team members was a former cast member is all the different off-kilter questions that they were asked on the daily. Like, I know I can talk to you guys about this because you're watching this video right now, and that means you're definitely not going to be experiencing the Disney parks blind during your next visit, but some guests can ask some really silly things when they come in totally unprepared for the parks. Believe me, I've done it in other parks too, non-Disney parks, and I have no idea what's going on. For example, one of our reporters was once asked, "Where's Daffy Duck?" Now, our reporter was able to discern that the guest was actually trying to find Donald Duck and not the Warner Brothers character who tags along with Bugs Bunny. You know what? Honest mistake. Both cartoon ducks have pretty similar sassy personalities. But our reporter was able to swallow her confusion and point the guest in the direction of Donald Duck, as well as show them how to find other characters around the park using the My Disney Experience app. Another one of our DFB team members was asked, "Is this a roller coaster?" while she was working at Rock and Roller Coaster. Guess it's better to take this one late than never if you need that extra clarity. And cast members will answer your questions regardless of how obvious something like this might seem. But this is why doing a little extra vacation research beforehand, or just any Disney World research period, will help you better prepare yourself for what lies ahead and help you avoid having to ask cast members a question that might trigger that slow blink of confusion from them before they finally state the seemingly obvious. Okay, one more and then we're moving on. One of our DFB team members got asked the question, "Where's the castle?" as they were working at a shift inside Hollywood Studios. Now here's the thing, no matter how many times you might tell someone how ginormous Disney World is, really you're not going to get the full impact until you're actually there and traveling between parks. Disney World is the size of 2 Manhattan Islands, the size of a whole San Francisco. 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, a shopping district, and lots of resorts, over 20 of them. So no, the first park you enter won't necessarily have Cinderella Castle. The only one that does is Magic Kingdom. All right, spoiler alert, you might hate where you work in Disney World. Getting your job assignment for the Disney College program can be one of the most exciting days ever, but positions do vary, and depending on where you're placed will determine how different your schedule looks week to week. Yep, you could end up working 6 days straight, and yes, some roles may schedule you for 9-hour shifts, and some weeks might be a combination of both. So take it from our former Disney College program crew. This program has its magical moments, but it can also be downright exhausting. And you might really hate that if part of the reason you wanted to apply for the DCP in the first place was to get the free park perks and play on your days off, because all that time in the sun just might zap the energy out of you and make a play day at the park a whole lot less appealing than hitting the snooze button. Ultimately, we've heard it from both angles. We've heard the people who were disappointed in their DCP experience, and we've heard the people who wished it would never end. For example, our longtime DFB site editor, Sierra, had a Disney College program position where she worked at the Cool Ship in Tomorrowland. While she really enjoyed the folks that she worked with, she was pretty grossed out by selling the turkey legs here, considering she's a vegetarian. After a while, she said it wasn't quite as big a deal, but she never really got used to her shoes constantly smelling like meat. If you come ready to work and make magic for others, you might have a great time in the Disney College program. But if you come ready to have a 6-month vacation away from your hometown, you should probably reconsider. Now we're back to the Disney look. Okay, good nail hygiene? Yes, that seems like a pretty straightforward rule for cast members. But beyond just making sure your nails stay squeaky clean, cast members also have to make sure their nails keep a certain appearance. Nails must be kept short, not exceeding 1/4 of an inch beyond the fingertip. And if a cast member wishes to paint their nails, they must use the same solid color on each nail or have a French manicure style. No decals, charms, or a whole lot of extra bling bling allowed. Performing in Disney World sounds like a dream until you realize you might be forfeiting your normal sleep schedule to make this dream come true. When a new Disney show needs to be rehearsed, often those run-throughs take place when guests are not in the park, which could mean an 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift for those performers. One of our DFB team members had to take on these overnight shifts leading up to one of the shows they were a part of, and sometimes they would have multiple overnight rehearsals in a row. Well, it's not uncommon for some Disney jobs to be strictly overnight. Once a new show is ready to open up, the hours completely switch from night to day, which can be a hard adjustment for anyone to make just on a dime. Here's a super fun specific cast member secret from one of our writers who used to work as a server at Ohana inside Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. On her first day at the Polynesian, she got to be a part of an Aloha Day, which is where cast members get to learn all about the resort's history and do a little hula dancing in the lobby. During her first day tour, she actually learned a fun secret about the resort that she'd never noticed before. And we didn't know about it either. To the right of the pineapple lanai window, there's a very large tree near the turf area that was brought to the resort from its native state of Hawaii. This is a kukui nut tree, and it plays an important role in Hawaiian culture as a symbol of protection and peace. In the past, kukui nuts produced by these trees were fashioned into leis that were only worn by kings of Hawaii, since these nuts were considered sacred. The oils gathered from these nuts were also used frequently as fuel to light lanterns around the island. And if you look around the cast members through Polynesian Village Resort, you'll quickly learn Disney took inspiration from the kukui nut tree history. Cast members who wear kukui nut leis are the coordinators and leaders who light the way for cast members and guests alike. These kukui nut leis help newer cast members recognize someone who is higher up and who will be able to help them when they have any questions or concerns that arise during their shift. If you're looking for your own kukui nut lei to wear, you can often purchase one in the Boutique gift shop located on the first floor of the Great Ceremonial House, or you can even make your own kukui nut lei on certain days in the lobby. We were all getting a big kick out of our team member's past experience working at Ohana, so there's another fun detail she shared with us about her time working there. So one of the big draws to eating at Ohana, aside from the delicious food, is that this is a glassed-in restaurant that faces the Magic Kingdom. Meaning, if you time your dinner reservation here just right, you might, if you're lucky, get seated near one of these giant windows to watch the Happily Ever After fireworks spectacular from the comfort of your seat. You can always try requesting a fireworks view seat upon checking in at the host stand, but keep in mind it's not always guaranteed. They will try though. Now, our DFB team member had a lot of good things to say about her time working at Ohana. Not only did she get to work in the AC, a huge plus for a Disney cast member, but the commute wasn't nearly as grueling as those traveling to and from Magic Kingdom each day. Yet one of her favorite parts about this job was the fact that she got to see the Magic Kingdom fireworks almost every single night, as long as she wasn't in the back rolling silverware. On her last shift as a cast member, her family came to celebrate, and the restaurant assigner that night made sure to give her family one of Ohana's best window tables so that they could watch the fireworks. And our team member could see them during her final shift too. Okay, now this is seriously fun. Each week, cast members have the opportunity to sign up for different raffles via the online cast member hub. These raffles are called Magic Backstage, and there are so many different experiences you could potentially win. Each Wednesday, cast members can check for new raffles and will be eligible to sign up for each opportunity only once. Prizes change from backstage tours of rides to free guest tickets to after-hours events and even free cruises. One of our writers actually won a Magic Backstage raffle the first time she signed up. This was how she and her friend were able to attend Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party for free. You know what else is cool about getting a cast compliment as a cast member? You might be able to name a Disney snack cart. If you've never noticed that some Disney snack carts are sporting giant cast member name tags, this is because when cast members do something exceptional or receive a particularly glowing cast compliment, they get to name one of Disney's various food carts. It's silly and kind of unserious, but a whole lot of fun for cast members to participate in and guests to learn about. So the next time you're grabbing a Mickey Premium bar, take a closer look at the cart and see if it has a name that you should be addressing it by. Nope, not every cast member is going to have the honor of water painting the pavement like the custodial team has the privilege of doing. But there's one important point that's drilled into the noggins of cast members from the day they're hired. They are all custodial cast members. Basically, this means that every cast member is expected to clean up after themselves and others too. After all, it takes a village to maintain an entire theme park. To further drive the point home, Disney trains all cast members to implement the trusty old Disney scoop maneuver. What's the Disney scoop? Well, it's a walk and grab technique that encourages cast members to scoop the trash off the ground that they see while walking around the parks. It's a very fluid motion, and honestly, I think this could be a new dance move in the making. If a cast member calls you a prince or princess inside Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom, it might make you feel super special for a minute, like you got some main character energy going on. Not to deflate that excitement or anything, but this is less about you being a Disney protagonist and more about you being part of the elaborate story that each park section tells on the daily. Depending on which land you're currently exploring, that will determine what Disney cast members address you as. For example, in Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios, you'll be called an honorary toy. At Galaxy's Edge, you'll be greeted as a traveler, and when you're about to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, you're referred to, of course, as a Terran, although I do prefer Epcotian. It's not just the terminology that changes within each land that you cross into, it's the flowers and greenery too. Each area of Disney wouldn't be nearly as immersive as it is without Disney's landscaping cast members, so pay extra attention to the surrounding trees and flowers and bushes and other foliage that Disney's landscaping team uses to bring those locations to life. A very quick example for you, each area of Magic Kingdom has landscaping that evokes the mood of its respective story. In Fantasyland, you're going to see perfectly groomed topiaries worthy of being in the presence of royalty, but in Adventureland, overgrown vines and tropical plants are what makes you feel as if you're on a trek through a wild or enchanted jungle adventure. Meanwhile, over in Liberty Square, often you can find flower beds with red, white, and almost blue flowers, old kettles used as flower pots, and a 100-year-old live oak tree that fashions off 13 lanterns representing the 13 original colonies. And yet, in the Haunted Mansion section of Liberty Square, the greenery is going to look purposefully overgrown and some of it kind of dead to give that eerie, abandoned feel. Along with the cast members' brand training, they're also trained about something even more important. Safety is above everything else, even if it means having to drop your character for a bit. When you're in a theme park and it's loud, or a cast member is loading a ride and there's a lot of chaos, it can be hard for people to hear or notice that a cast member is speaking at all. So when a cast member is trying to give instructions and the people they're instructing just aren't paying attention or hearing them at all, cast members may not have much choice rather than to shout if getting the message across is a matter of safety. This could mean having to yell at a guest to put their backpack on the ground so that the lap bar will close and they can actually send the ride on its merry little way. Or sometimes they might have to remind guests a little louder than they want to fill in all the available space in a queue, or pre-show room, or theater. So if a cast member startles you with a shouting instruction, just know it's all for a matter of safety most likely, as well as making sure as many people as possible can be loaded onto a ride or attraction quickly and efficiently. Now, this rule is actually fairly common at places like sporting events and concerts and, of course, theme parks, so Disney's not too different here. It's just a good reminder, since our DFB team members have said that cast members get a lot of pushback on this rule daily. Cast members are trained to limit guests to no more than 2 alcoholic beverages per transaction at quick service locations, which includes Epcot Festival booths too. This policy is intended to deter guests from having a little too much fun during their park day. It also limits the ability of guests to buy drinks for other people using their own ID. On top of this rule, cast members are also trained to refuse drinks to guests who already appear intoxicated, regardless of whether they are at a quick service or a table service location. Now, I know you won't have to worry about this since you're all responsible out there, but if you ever see a cast member cut someone off, they're not trying to be mean, they're just doing what they're told. This is often an issue that we run into when we're covering every Epcot Festival booth on a festival's opening day. If there's more than 2 alcoholic drinks available at a single booth, we got to send 2 reporters to the same booth for coverage so that we can split up those alcohol purchases. And that makes our reporters super happy because then they get to cover those booths with their work buddy and test out those boozy beverages responsibly. So that's a win. And since we're on the subject of alcohol, here's another rule cast members, specifically server cast members, have to clarify. While alcohol may be included in your Disney dining plan if you're 21 years of age or older, these drinks are to be consumed at the table service you're dining at in a cup or glass provided by the restaurant. So servers cannot fill a flask or water bottle or any type of to-go cup with liquor and mark it as a use of the beverage portion of your Disney dining plan credits. Ah, yes, the age-old bubble wand controversy. So one of our team members told us that they used to be stationed at a cart in Magic Kingdom that sold bubble wands and other light-up doohickeys. And unfortunately, many families would come back during the day to see about refunds or replacements for the bubble wands they purchased earlier on, since these bubble wands can be so incredibly fragile. One drop on the sidewalk and there's a good chance these guys will crack and not work the way they're supposed to anymore. Not a great combo when you're giving these wands to kids who drop stuff all the time. The other issue with these wands is that they tend to be one-use items. Your kids will get a kick out of them around Disney, but then they usually just collect dust once you're back home. If you know your kid's gonna beg and plead and cry for their own Disney bubble wand, you may want to purchase a knockoff ahead of time at your local dollar store or big box store for a whole lot less money. That way, when the tears start flowing, you can surprise your kid with a bubble wand that still has their favorite Disney character perched on top, but will be a whole lot less heartbreaking if it gets dropped and broken on the sidewalk during the day. I have personal experience with this. When my kiddo was little, it was bubble wand central, and yes, I returned multiple times to get the bubble wand fixed or to get a replacement. That's another thing that's really important to know, is that if you do drop a snack or if something breaks that you buy in Disney World, you can get a replacement for it. Just bring your receipt back and they'll exchange it. I don't know if y'all are ready for this one, but the Mickey pretzels that you know and love, those arrive at Disney's snack kiosks and quick services frozen. In order to prep them to sell, cast members just have to spritz them with water, throw in some salt, toss them in the oven, and voila, you've got yourself an $8 Mickey pretzel ready to go. This myth is well on its way to being dead and buried, but it still bubbles up in Toy Story Land every now and then and absolutely drives the cast members crazy. If, hypothetically speaking, you're visiting one of the toys in Toy Story Land and you yell, "Andy's coming," no one's going to fall over and act like an inanimate toy. This would be a safety hazard for everyone involved, and the person who's shouting the phrase is going to look silly when the characters and cast members just stand there, not reacting to what's been said. However, if you book a reservation for Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, there is an interactive moment during your meal where Sarge is going to announce over the speakers that Andy's coming, and when you hear that, everyone, servers included, will have to freeze in place for a few seconds, but not fall over. This is more of a cute moment that only happens every so often and doesn't create a safety hazard for anyone who plays along. If you want to walk through a thrill ride queue with your family to keep them company, plus you want to appreciate the ride line details and pre-show when you're able, you don't have to experience the ride itself if you don't want to. Yep, every single Disney ride has a secret exit, or a chicken exit as we call it, and you shouldn't feel bad about using it. Just ask the nearest cast member how to exit the line and they'll happily direct you on out of there before your family goes to board. This is perfect if you maybe can't ride because of some sort of physical condition, maybe a heart condition, or you're pregnant, etc., or if you're just not quite ready to take that leap yet. I'm just going to say it again. No, cast members do not control the weather. Punch controls the weather. Lilo and Stitch fans out there will understand this reference. But in all seriousness, while Florida weather can be a chaotic mess of heat and humidity and sudden downpours, there's no invisible weather dome that cast members are controlling behind the scenes, causing you to take cover in gift shops or forcing you to overpay for ponchos. Remember that point from earlier, the one where several cast members might have to endure sideways sheets of rain during their shift? Yeah, if they could control that, they'd probably, avoid it. But since they can't, just make sure you're bringing ponchos and staying hydrated and creating plan Bs just in case the weather is chaos. If you're a longtime viewer of our DFB videos, A, we appreciate you, and B, you've probably heard me shout several times before that everyone needs to remember to stay hydrated during their park day. And to avoid paying for any overpriced bottles of water, you can always ask for the free water cup from nearby quick service locations. But what our team of former cast members would love to add to that narrative is that Epcot's festival booths and Disney's other quick services are two very different things. Although they both provide more affordable eats on the go, they're not equipped the same way that a quick service restaurant is. So if you're looking for a free water cup, several festival booths won't have those readily available. You also won't be able to make any mobile orders at festival booths via your My Disney Experience app, so be ready to wait in the physical line just like everybody else. So remember a few years ago when there was this online challenge that a few guests attempted to see if they could be dress coded at Disney and get free merch out of it? Yeah, dress coded means these guests tried to wear something that they weren't allowed to wear inside the parks, just so that a Disney cast member would take them over to the nearest gift shop and hand them a replacement Disney shirt for free. Hopefully this blanket statement gets the point across fairly clearly. That's not how it works at Disney World, and if it ever was before, it's definitely not how it works now. Likely, if a guest wears something against the dress code, they'll be caught at the front entrance and denied entry into the park. And even if they're able to get past front gate security initially, that doesn't mean they're off the hook. Security can still catch these guests and escort them out of the park during the day if that person doesn't have a change of clothes. There are two types of cast member dress codes. One is for the costumed cast members, aka those who work on stage and in the public eye at all times, and one is for the non-costumed cast members who work backstage and behind the scenes. But no matter which dress code you're expected to follow, it's highly recommended that every cast member has non-slip shoes. But that's not really the truth. The truth is that these non-slip shoes are a whole lot more mandatory than the rules suggest. Most cast members, especially those working in food and beverage, actually have to have slip-resistant shoes. Disney will provide you with a pair, but if you'd rather purchase your own shoes that might be way comfier on your soles and heels, it's best to make sure that whatever you purchase is labeled as slip-resistant. Because if you fall while on the clock, one of the first things a shift leader will do, besides, make sure you're okay and safe, is to see if the cast member's shoes were slip-resistant, because if they weren't, well, they're liable to get in trouble. While we as guests might not get a finger wag if we fall at Disney while wearing shoes that aren't slip resistant, that doesn't mean we're immune to slipping and sliding in an area that might have gotten really slippery after a rainstorm. This often happens with Crocs, by the way. My dad was actually wearing Crocs at Universal Studios. It rained, he slipped and fell, and he had to be taken out of the park in an ambulance. So take Disney's costuming advice and apply it to your own packing rules, just to make sure to prevent any falls for yourself. Just like any other theme park, emergencies in Disney World can happen at any moment. It's serious, but it's true. And if you're dealing with a medical emergency during your Disney day, which I hope and pray never is the case, you might find comfort in knowing that cast members are trained to know what to do when this type of situation arises, just like when my dad fell. So cast members know how to assess a situation as calmly as possible, and if the emergency constitutes it, they may call 911 to get medical assistance to the park ASAP. This is something you are also allowed to do if you feel like the emergency calls for it. If taking even one extra second to reach out to a cast member to ask them for help feels like a second wasted, Disney wants you to call 911 to get a medical emergency team out there immediately. Again, Disney puts safety over story, so don't be afraid that Disney's going to get mad if you call 911 for you or someone in your group who needs help. Cast members really do want to help make your trip as amazing as possible, and yes, guests should always feel comfortable reaching out to any cast member if they've got a question or a concern or need some extra assistance. But it's important for us to remember that there are things that cast members might not be able to quick fix, or there are things that they're simply not allowed to do. At the very least, a cast member might be able to direct you to a different cast member who could provide more assistance for the concern at hand. But every cast member won't be able to fix every problem. Like if you're asking a cast member who's working at Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe in Magic Kingdom when you should expect Tiana's Bayou Adventure to be back online again if it's down for technical difficulties, the answer you're probably going to receive is, I have no idea. And sometimes a cast member might be able to do what you hope they can do. For instance, as much as they might want to let you scan in early for your lightning lane time, it's not always feasible. And you may very well be turned away for the time being, even if you're showing up for your lightning lane just 10 minutes earlier than your return window has listed. While it never hurts to ask a cast member about certain things, also be prepared that they won't be able to grant every request. They're going to do everything they can to get you to someone who can grant that request, but sometimes they just can't do it themselves. I never hide the fact that I love having a me party in Disney World, but as it turns out, our fellow former cast members share the same sentiment too. A Disney World vacation with family and friends is rich and fulfilling and memorable, but a Disney World vacation solo with just yourself can actually be equally as fulfilling and a whole lot more relaxing. You can use single rider lines wherever they're offered, you can sleep in or get up as early as you see fit, You can eat whenever you want to, wherever you want to. So if you've been considering the idea of vacationing in Disney World as a party of one, but you thought maybe it'd feel awkward to do so, trust me when I say the awkwardness subsides real fast when the treat yourself vibes start to kick in. Cast members love being silly. Now, I'm not talking creepy clown silly or cringy silly. Cast members just love to do little extra things around the parks to make you smile and maybe even distract you from the broken ride behind them. Pay no attention to the routine maintenance behind the curtain. Some things you might see cast members do during your day around the parks include applauding when someone steps into their taped off clap boxes, starting up hula hooping competitions, dazzling you with a surprise magic trick, or creating fun water art out of a fan favorite Disney character. Every time you meet a character in Disney World, whether it's the Big Cheese himself, Mickey Mouse, or a Disney princess, there's going to be a character attendant cast member nearby. These attendants wear blue polo tops and khaki pants, which is why, behind the scenes, they call themselves the Blueberries of Disney World. Why do the Disney characters need blueberries? Well, think of them like each character's trusty sidekick. Mickey needs a pen to sign his autograph, ask a blueberry. Needs someone to snap a photo, ask a blueberry. Want to know when Goofy will be back from his phone call with his son Max? Ask a blueberry. You get the idea. Wait, if cast members already have a Disney mandated dress code, why would they make even more dress code rules for themselves? Don't worry, these rules are fun and super subtle too. Recently, it's been really trendy for cast members to put a keychain on their work bag that represents their position in the parks. For example, we've seen Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind cast members sporting Groot keychains on their lunchboxes, and we've seen those who are good friends with Winnie the Pooh wearing a dangly keychain on their backpacks representing that silly willy-nilly old bear. I don't know, it's not a huge thing, but I still think it's cute that cast members are creating little Easter eggs on their bags so that you never have to question who works where. And of course, truly, there isn't a right or wrong way to do Disney. If you love getting up at 5 a.m. and spending the day at the parks, great. Want to sleep in and only spend a few hours at a certain park? Fabulous. Don't even want to go to the parks and just want to enjoy the pool at the hotel? Sounds good to me. A trip to Disney World should be a vacation, and that means doing things that you enjoy doing. It gets harder to balance lots of wants and desires if you're traveling with kids or a larger group, but don't lose sight of the fact that Disney World should be a vacation. Too often, our team of former cast members would see families that were in such a rush to get things done that no one was having a good time. And that's just not worth spending a whole bunch of money on if you're not even going to enjoy your Disney experience while you're there. Plan for your group, but also know that it's okay to adjust plans once you get to Disney World. Make sure you have at least time to eat and hydrate and sleep. But don't feel bad for adding an extra relaxation time, or even a lot of extra relaxation time if you need to. So there was so much cast member lore packed into this video that I almost feel like a fellow cast member now by association. How about you? Now I want to give a quick extra shout out to all of our DFB team members who were former cast members for helping us not only make today's video, but also continuing to share their expertise and vast Disney planning knowledge to help out our viewers and readers and followers create the best vacations ever. There's nothing like that insider info that you can only get when you actually work there and you're there every single day and you know what issues guests are facing. So remember to always drop those cast compliments during your park visits to show your appreciation to these folks who go the extra mile to help you create extra magic during your trip. It only takes a minute or two to do so on your My Disney Experience app, and it's so impactful for those cast members who receive them. So yeah, next time you're in Disney World, give yourself a goal to give at least one cast compliment a day. I think that's a great goal that I know we can all hit. We've got even more cast member videos out on our channel right now if you're not done exploring Disney behind the scenes or backstage, so make sure to check those out when you get the chance. And don't forget to pick up our free Disney College Program Guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/college, and we'll send it to your email super quick. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.